Hey everybody, it's Tafony here once again. Hope you're doing well. Today we are rambling about the Schlappi Engineering Interstellar Radio. It sounds like this. Okay, forgive the angle. This is the only place that the scope and the Interstellar Radio, in my case, are going to fit side by side. Hope that's okay. Forgive the laptop for the intro. I wanted to say some things that aren't just off of the dome for once, so we're going to go through that quick. All right, what is the Interstellar Radio from Schlappi Engineering? Despite the name, it's not actually a radio, which was a misconception I had before borrowing this one. At least it's not in the classic sense of like transmitting over the airwaves and receiving and demodulating, I guess, or interpolating. You can think of it more like a tool set for mangling the radio workflow. They describe it as being like a broken radio, and you will definitely hear lots of like radio tuned to a dead channel. I can't believe I'm making that reference 2 videos in a row. But you can think about it like mangling that workflow and using it like a broken radio to either distort wave shape or create your own sounds from 2 square wave oscillators. Now I'll say the terminology can get a bit fuzzy here. Conceptually, there's a lot of overlap between things like FM radio, how an FM radio works, and with something like traditional complex oscillator, terms like carrier, modulator, amplitude modulation, frequency modulation, and in this case, demodulation, I guess, both in the Interstellar Radio and in complex oscillators, like, say, the Buchla 259. If you're curious about the FM radio side of things, how it relates to synthesis, I would definitely check out Jeff from Sound and Voltage's videos. He did a whole series on understanding FM, and he relates it to FM radio as well, and it's really great. It's really entertaining as well. So definitely check that out. I'll link it in the description below. But if I can just give the quickest, shortest possible explanation of traditional radio transmission, radio works by converting sound, like a music or voice, depending on the application, sometimes both, into electromagnetic waves. Jeff in that video series refers to that part as FM magic, so we don't need to know about that here, and we don't do any of that here anyway. But it carries electromagnetic waves through the air. A transmitter takes that audio signal, modulates it into a carrier wave through AM, amplitude modulation, or FM, frequency modulation, and broadcasts it. then a receiver tunes to that frequency, demodulates the signal, and turns it back into sound through use of a speaker or headphones or digital if you're in the 21st century. But all of that being said, you don't need to know any of that to understand or enjoy or make use of the Interstellar Radio, and I'm about to demonstrate that firsthand. Just know that that is sort of, if that stuff intrigues you, there's lots to chew on here. And I actually saw this one originally at the Vancouver Synth Meet a couple months back. One of the performers, Tilly, was using it as a modulation source, and it looked like an absolute blast. It seemed really cool. I think they were even running it into an analog clock divider too, to like use it as an audio source and a modulation source. And I was just like, that looks like the sort of fun that, I don't know if esoteric is the word, but just like craziness, like the mad scientist Tesla coil sort of like fun that I wanna have. You know what I mean? So huge thanks to my friend Jake who lent me his. I seriously appreciate it. I appreciate you supporting the channel, and I appreciate y'all for watching it. So that being said, it's time for me to explain this poorly. I only have it for this weekend, so we are going to ride through the manual, but I think that's okay. We're going to run through the layout, and I will probably do this in, well, I'm going to leave the signal in out until last, but you can hear it now. Let's just play it first. And it is very shrill, very loud. You know what, actually, hold on. Sorry, I'm going to patch a level of attenuation because that's going to get really, really shrill. So we'll go into, there's 3 types. We'll start in the first type. There's a carrier, a modulator. Each of these have CV inputs and audio inputs as well, and then control of the CV rate. And this must be normal to 5 volts because when I don't have anything patched in, you just are able to do like micro adjustments. Although everything on here is so crazy, it's kind of hard to even know which you're doing, whether it's a micro adjustment or a macro adjustment, but that's okay. So there's the carrier, the modulator, demodulator, the error threshold, and I think I have to listen on the error output to hear that. And then this is, yeah. I think if you get lots of popping, because it's all square waves, and this is just conjecture, I don't know if this is actually true or not. I think because when you're using square waves, you get... Here, let me make sure I'm entirely dry here. I think because you're using square waves, you get spots where the pulse width is dropping out and causing pops, and you can adjust that or intentionally break that. Or use it as a crude VCA using the error threshold. So it does color the modulation in its own way. And then there's this tone knob, which is a passive tone. I'm assuming this is kind of like a guitar tone pot in a way that, like, completely non-resonant, just... Okay, well... There's going to be a lot of, like, I have no idea what happened because it's so chaotic and fun. Like this. Why does the error threshold need to go up when you turn said passive tone knob? I don't know. But you can still noodle with it and have all the fun in the world, right? And you can send volt per octave to this. And use it as a noisy oscillator, or you can replace the onboard square oscillators with external oscillators. So you can do all of this, but all of these tools can be completely replaced with other pieces. And what I mean by that is you have this square wave oscillator for carrier, another for demodulator, and I love some of that pulse with the hair that I have going on. I don't even know how to describe that, but the different types as well changes the character. It doesn't give an explanation, I don't think, of what the different characters are, but what I do know is the second one seems to plop out a lot on me. I don't know why that is. Maybe it's more... Oh, there it is. Maybe it's better for processing external signals, which we'll get into in a moment, but if I could just say like the basic interstellar radio thing is kind of being somewhere in here, right? If I send, well, let's go through piece by piece. So right now we just have our square wave frequency, basically. That's a pretty basic square wave, although you hear some beating from that clock conversion, I believe you could describe that as. I don't know if our error threshold would change that if we go to the regular output. It's so funny. So you can modulate the CV. Let's go in and send... What am I sending here? We're going to send a triangle LFO. So it will like do pitches. I don't know how in tune this would end up being, but it can be done. Real quick, just to demonstrate the CV usage here, let's throw in volt per octave here. I have no clue how in tune that is, but it can be done. Or you could pitch another oscillator and send that in, so we'll pulse that into the in. So this is a voice from the piston Honda. You know what, maybe just for simplicity, let's go like a triangle wave. It's triangle wave in, which will replace the controls on our carrier. What happens if I CV this now? Does it change anything? I don't think it will for that same reason. No, it won't. So yeah, we've completely replaced our carrier. If you listen to it output on its own as well, there's dedicated outs, which I just noticed. So yeah, square wave. Which is interesting. We've bypassed that carrier on this output, but the I didn't see anything online, anyone talking about that, but the bypassing its input changed it as well. Does that make sense? So let's get into the demodulation side. So I'm using an external oscillator. If we demodulate it, what's to say? This is the bias frequency of the receiver, down conversion side. If this is set too low, no output will be produced. I guess that's not too low. But you crank it up and you basically get almost like FM. And this can be CV'd as well. Let's CV that. And I hope if I can impart anything, it's just that, like, how much chaos there is here to chew on, right? And I love that. What happens if I do CV to the carrier and I replace the demodulator with our triangle? Frequency doesn't change there, but if I change it on the oscillator side from our triangle wave, so if we replace it with a sine wave or something, lamp wave. Crazy stuff. Take my volt per octave out, in, out. Yeah, again. Oh. Crazy stuff. And it doesn't stop there. We have, the output is the recovered and mangled audio. The error is a logic comparator. The error output is a type of logic comparator. XOR outputs the difference between the input and output. Interesting, okay. So if I put a triangle wave into our signal input, that really sounds like radio. But then, so I went through all of the other bypassing things. If I put my piston Honda back in, yes, sorry. I want to go through their distortion patch. So patch an audio signal into the input, listen to the error output. Oops, sorry. Let's get over to the error output. And error threshold will act as a bit of a wet-dry mix. Well, that sounds very wet. Try the different types, listen to the out. Try tuning each knob one at a time to see how they affect the tone. That's so funny. It's essentially just like put the signal in and mangle with it. So, if I send some pitch here, there we go, we got some pitch going. Let me sync these two. So now we have a synth voice going in. Let's turn it up a bit. Well, they said that would act as a wet-dry mix, but I'm not hearing that. It all sounds extremely wet to me. Let's CV modulate. What happens if we go back to the regular output? Love that. Now, I don't know if I'd use this so much as a distortion. I think that's really fun, but it's a better sound source in my mind. Not that it's a competition, I guess. But what we can do is put out the signal can come out, frequencies can go up, CVs can go down. And I know, doesn't that sound lovely? Well, let's take this output and use it as a modulation source on something else, which was the original demo that I wanted to do. Or what most intrigued me about this module. How's that? So we're going to use that as the I don't know, let's use that to scan wavetables on the Piston Honda. So that's out. Mix is in. Sorry, running out of cables here. Use it as a random source soon, hopefully as well. Let's take the output of the Piston Honda, mix it in. Now we'll hear that. So this is without that as a modulation source. But then I want to bring in this super glitchy random source. And I don't know, like, in my mind, you'd think you could just get a random LFO could do all this, right, at a super high division, but I don't know, it doesn't. I think it's the repeats it's doing or something that just makes this really appealing. And I know what you're thinking, what the hell is he talking about? This sounds like garbage, but I like this type of garbage. Is that okay? Let's patch, sorry, swap some things around so I can bring my drums back in. Maybe we need a little bit of low-pass gate on that one, so let's take the output and run it through that. Input on the steady-state gate side, output on the steady-state gate side. Excite in, here it comes. And I want you to think, obviously, there's a million different uses for that modulation, right? You might be thinking, why would I want to use that for scanning wavetables? And I can totally appreciate that. Let's just hear it as that demonstration. Think about how you would use it for yours. Now suddenly I brought this like super glitchy flavor to that wavetable, right? Bring it in more, make it more extreme. Yes. Which is hilarious given how symmetrical it looks on the scope. Different types. Yeah. Try scanning on the Z axis instead of the X. Yeah. It just kind of sounds like radio too, is the ironic thing there as well. Yeah. And then, yeah, I really like that. The last thing I wanted to demonstrate was using it as the other classic noise thing is using it as a hi-hat source, like just sending the noise into a VCA, although this thing can do a lot more than that. However, I'm going to send it into the mutant hi-hats because it is a little bit of a filter, envelope VCA, all of that good stuff. So what happens when we patch in trigger to that? To patch in the output, excuse me for a moment, and hopefully I don't completely cover the screen of everything, but I don't know, c'est la vie, I guess. So this is it as the external in. Turn that up, overdrive it a little bit. And you know what, let's run it through the scope again so you can see what's happening, what's being sent in. Let me just bring that over here. And we'll noodle through it. A little bit of filter. A short decay, and then let me just patch in some more. Yeah. Bring in our drums as well. And I don't know if you ever thought about using radio as a hi-hat source, but I feel like this is kind of, before I got into modular, these are the sort of things that I pictured doing. And it still excites me now. Alright. Send some LFOs. It really does make a nice hi-hat. Like, it's a really good noise source, you know what I mean? Most noise sources can handle pitch, or some can, not all of them, but this handles it in a way that's really musical, I guess. Yeah. And then let's send some modulation to the D modulator, the irony factory. If I do the comparator mode in error, is its onboard filter, which again is cutting out the audio. I don't know why that is. I think it's maybe everything's too high pitched to compare. Anyway, I don't find I use this tone knob too often. I kind of rather use my nastiness down the line, but maybe actually on the modulation side that is something that's really useful. Yeah. And yeah. So yeah, that's the Interstellar Radio. It's that's a super unique piece of Eurorack modulation and noise and exploration, I guess would be the word for it all. I'm having a blast with it. It's been a lot of fun to check out, so thank you so much again for lending me this one. I'm Tafony. Take care, like, subscribe, do all of that crap that Google's always on my case about not promoting to you, and I'll talk to you in the next video. Take care.